यूट्यूब पे भी लाइव हो गया है ना मैम, आप मैसेज डाल दीजिए।
हेलो, रुशीना सर आ गए हैं। कीनोट स्पीकर सर आ गए हैं।
मैम किस नाम से है?
Good afternoon, everyone. I, Rashina Thakkar, on the behalf of the Psychology Department of Government Maharani Lakshmi Bai Girls PG College, extend my heartiest welcome to each and every one of you. Our voyage towards the pursuit of authentic happiness has brought us all together, and this journey began yesterday. And it began with so much wisdom and so much knowledge. We took home so many things yesterday, and I understand how excited you all must be for day two. Before we invite our wonderful guest speakers, we would like to take a few moments. First of all, I would like to call our patron, Dr. Meenakshi Joshi, who is presently the principal of our college. Her strong affinity for one of the oldest known languages, the Devvani, Sanskrit, has made her a fabulous orator. She is known for her speaking skills. She has been an ardent supporter of both the field and the Department of Psychology. Ma'am, I welcome you to say a few words, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. With immense pleasure, on behalf of Government MLB PG Girls College, Indore, I, Dr. Meenakshi Joshi, welcome you all to the second day of this 5-day international webinar on the topic Pursuit of Authentic Happiness, organized by the Department of Psychology of our college. As the world recovers from the after effects of the pandemic, its impact on mental well-being of people is striking. The understanding of real happiness, how to achieve it, and how to maintain it seems relevant with the changing lifestyles of people at large. Being happy might mean just to feel good, but authentic happiness is even more. It revolves around several other factors: feeling good within oneself, a positive state of mind, leading a meaningful, purposeful life, pleasure, prosperity, and so on. The meaning of the term happiness might be different in different stages of our lives. It can be different for each one of us, but as we grow older and wiser, we understand the real meaning and value attached with happiness. At a young age, material acquisition, ambition can make one happy. At another stage of life, a family or promotion or a vacation may make you happy. But these are examples of temporary status of happiness. Hence, however real they may seem, they might not give a sense of fulfillment or purpose for life. Happiness derived thus might be short lived and might still leave you in the quest of finding authentic happiness. Authentic happiness, as I understand it, it perennial. It is unshaken by any temporary factors of age, money, or ambition. According to our age-old concepts of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, authentic happiness can be attained when a human being lives a righteous life, follows the path of dharma, and contributes to making the planet a better place for everyone to live in. Our ancestors like Gautam Buddha have shown us by example that seeking truth and finding it gives happiness in the real sense. Our sages attain utmost sense of happiness through spiritual awakening of their beings. Many found real happiness after renouncing worldly pleasures, and many found it when they gave away their lives for their countrymen or people in distress and pain. The lockdowns, the isolations, and restrictions during the pandemic have made it imperative for us to rethink about authentic happiness. It has made us to inquire more about our understanding of happiness and factors that affect our general sense of well-being and positive psychology. In the presence of our chief patron, respected Dr. Suresh Silawat, Additional Director, Higher Education Department, Indore Division, I welcome you, Dr. Silawat. And our keynote speaker, Professor Girishwar Mishra. We have invited eminent speakers who will share their valuable insights about different aspects related to the pursuit of authentic happiness and facilitate our learning. I once again welcome you all the speakers who have readily agreed to share their perspectives on the topic, and without much ado, I request everyone who has joined us from the different parts of the globe, hailing from various educational backgrounds, to make the most of this afternoon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Your words have truly hit home. Now, I would like to call our chief patron and chairperson, who honestly needs no introduction, but I would still take a few moments. Dr. Suresh Silawat, he is the additional director of the Department of Higher Education in Indore Division. He has served as the principal in various premier institutes such as Government Sanskrit College, Government Holkar College, to just name a few. Now, if I were to talk about his career, I think it would take an entire day. So I wouldn't do that. All I would say that he is a person who understands higher education inside out. Sir, I welcome you to please say a few words.
मैम सुरेश सर अभी शो नहीं कर पा रहे हैं मुझे.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Apologies. We would wait for sir, but before I would like to call on our convener of the international webinar on the pursuit of authentic happiness, that is Dr. Saroj Kothari. She is presently the head of psychology department, and her academic career spanning over 4 decades, in which she has been published more than 250 times in various national and international journals. She has supervised the research work for more than 30 PhDs. She has been honored for her hard work by various awards such as the Professional Involvement Award, the Best Psychologist Award, to name a few. Now, she has been my teacher, and she has always insisted from day one to focus on positivity and move ahead. So, no better person to tell us why we're here. Ma'am, I'd welcome you, please.
Thank you, Rushina. It is my great pleasure to welcome all of you in this international webinar. On behalf of the faculty and students of the Psychology Department of Government MLB Girls PG College Indore, we are grateful to the keynote speaker of the webinar, who is none other than Professor Girishwar Mishra. He is the only Indian psychologist among first 10 psychologists in the world, along with many other renowned speakers from US, Germany, London, and India. We are thankful to them for accepting the invitation and giving time to share their knowledge to us. As you all know, the topic of the international webinar is the pursuit of authentic happiness, which is very relevant in present scenario. Health, money, power, and beauty are valued because we expect that it will make us happy, but happiness is not conditional upon them. Happiness doesn't depend on outside events, but rather on how we interpret them. Authentic happiness is the ultimate goal of our life. The aim of international webinar is to discover the pathways of authentic happiness. I firmly believe that all the distinguished speakers will share their experiences and expertise about how to achieve authentic happiness in life. Thank you.
Now, the moment you all have been waiting for, that is our very first guest speaker for today. As ma'am already introduced him, it is Dr. Gireshwar Mishra. He is a social scientist, psychologist, and author. He obtained his MA and PhD in psychology from Gorakhpur University. In his career, he started off as a lecturer in psychology at Gorakhpur University. Then he was a reader of Allahabad University, moving on to Bhopal University, and finally joining Delhi University. He is one of the leaders in the emerging field of Indian psychology, where he currently serves as Vice Chancellor of Mahatma Gandhi Antarashtriya Hindi Vishwavidyalaya. Prior to his role as Vice Chancellor, he was a Fulbright Fellow at Swarthmore College and the University of Michigan. He is known for his contributions to social science and psychology research. He has also served as the editor of Psychological Studies, a journal of the National Academy of Psychology, for 15 years. He is also considered a central figure in Indian psychology, which is the field which attempts the systematic study and development of ideas originally from traditional Indian religious and cultural traditions. One thing I would like to say, as Kothari ma'am mentioned, he is on the list of one of the most influential psychologists in the world. And sir, though it might not be my position, but people like you make our country and us so proud. One more thing, I'd suggest all of you to read his blog, Mind and Life. He has written some beautiful things over there. Sir, I welcome you with a lot of fervor and with a lot of excitement.
Professor Kothari, Professor Saxena, Dr. Meenakshi Joshi, and the person who is anchoring this program, Rushna Thakur, and all the colleagues and friends who have joined this program. I extend a warm welcome to all of you. It's gratifying that the MLB College has thought about organizing this very focused seminar or webinar on the theme of authentic happiness. It's very pertinent as we have learned from Professor Kothari. The value of happiness has become more salient in the contemporary context of pandemic, where people have been suffering for a long time and trying to grow under these difficult conditions. We know that many people have suffered a lot. And we also find that in those difficult moments, some kind of inner strength did matter. And people from even elderly group could show resilience and successfully coped with the diverse demands on them. So there are many lessons to learn from such narratives, and understanding happiness in that context and also in the context of normal life has become a challenging issue. Let me begin with the observation that bliss, anand, sukh are the terms which are very familiar to people across the globe. People want to have pleasant life, good life. And as a student of psychology, we learn that human nature has the tendency of pleasure seeking and pain avoiding. We also learned that there are many biological needs, and when those needs are satisfied, then there is a state we call homeostasis. It is maintained. But the story is not complete. In addition to those biological needs, we have several social needs, and we know the play of social needs. You have play of power, achievement, affiliation, approval. So the whole drama of life is organized around these needs. But there is one more important thing, that human beings are not merely physical beings with a body. They are more than that. If you go to Indian thought, you come across the idea that it is a multi-layered hierarchical structure. You have the physical being, which is Annamaya Kosh, and you start with that, then you go to a vital level of functioning. You have Pranamaya Kosh, then gradually you move upward and you reach to Vijnanamaya Kosh. There is Manomaya Kosh, and finally we have a sheath called Anandamaya Kosh. The point that I want to bring before you is that we are not mere bodies. We do have this body. We use this body as an instrument to attain something more. The whole cultural engagement across the globe reflects this, that we are not satisfied with only these biological urges or physiological functioning. We want more and more and more. That's the story of civilization. That is what we find in all walks of life. So there is a strong urge to be creative and to contribute to something called growth. There are many other interesting terms which have come up: well-being or subjective well-being, quality of life, human development. So the concern is to improve the condition where you not only satisfy the physical, biological urges, but you go beyond that. Interestingly, our own engagement or the agenda that we have created leads to many, many things. You are very close to Jain, the place where perhaps once upon a time a great poet lived. His name is Kalidas. You have many such achievements, and you find that it is very crucial to realize that we have a cultural agenda. We are cultural beings, and our creativity is reflected in a variety of cultural engagements. Now there is one more point that we would like to bring home, and that is that we are living in an age which is predominantly organized around the idea of market, development, materialistic goals, and that creates a very interesting context. And the context is that you are living with a list of artificial needs, and that list of needs is on increase. Because of the market forces, you have exposure to information through media, and every day you find that these are the new objects which are present, and you want that. Next day you have another list and you want to get that. And the story goes on. So there is social comparison, and you feel deprived and disadvantaged. So you are in a perpetual condition of stress, tension, deprivation, that you don't have it. You are dissatisfied. Psychologically speaking, it's not only the objective poverty, but the relative poverty, the subjective experience of deprivation and poverty is also present, which is based on social comparison, based on observing models, based on the information that you get. Thanks to media, thanks to TV, you have London, Paris, New York, all these are immediately present in your bedroom through your TV. You are exposed to that. So we have to use that information in formulating our own identities. Our self identification or the meaning of having self is redesigned, refashioned when we are informed about the new items, new things available in the environment. So there is a perpetual condition which creates dissatisfaction, and that leads to lack of happiness. Just look around you, you will not find anybody who is completely satisfied, who is happy. So everywhere there is unhappiness. It's a big question how we are going to define happiness. I think all of us know, and Dr. Meenakshi has already pointed about the various aspects. I will not go into the details of that. Within the limited time available, I would like to share with you some of the concerns that today there is a craze for happiness. You have a large number of books, how to become happy. You have a move from the discipline of psychology, which is within the sub-area or sub-discipline called positive psychology. As we know that this movement started in early 21st century, and Martin Seligman is famous for the initiative. Interestingly, he started his work on learned helplessness. Then he moved to the study of learned resourcefulness. And then in 98, as a president of American Psychological Association, he launched the whole field of positive psychology. And with a large number of associates, colleagues, he has created a big center at University of Pennsylvania. And it has moved across many universities, and many programs are going on. And there is scientific work about positive psychology, programs of studies, research projects, and certain exercises, certain kinds of training programs, how to become happy. I think all of us know about the book written by Martin Seligman on authentic happiness. In fact, he runs a website with this name, AuthenticHappiness.com. I think that's the name perhaps. And you can join that, and you will be required to fill certain questionnaires and learn about your own happiness. Seligman talks about authentic happiness in terms of at least 3 forces where right kind of engagement, an engaged life, pleasant life, and meaningful life. And if you are able to combine all these, then you have authentic happiness. Let me make it very clear that happiness has 2 meanings. One meaning is happiness as an emotion, like fear, anger. There is a lot of work on the emotion of happiness. And there is a whole field of happiness studies. You know about happiness index, happiness account of nations, and there is emphasis on creating conditions which can lead to happiness. If you go through the literature available, you will learn about so many things. I would like to draw attention to 3 important components of the whole enterprise of authentic happiness within the perspective of positive psychology, which talks about positive emotions like gratefulness, love, humility, spirituality. Then there are certain positive traits, and the specific term which has been used is human strengths. There are many: transcendence, knowledge. There are so many, I don't have time to list all of them. And third is positive institutions. So you have positive parenting at the level of family, you have positive community, you have positive schooling, positive parenting. So at the level of emotions, which are mental states, then stable traits that is human strengths, and then at the level of institution. So you need to look at the pursuit of authentic happiness as a combined effort where there is convergence of community level activities, institutional activities, and the stable traits, and then emotional states. There are beautiful experiments and studies which indicate that if you have experience of positive emotion, it is going to contribute to your health and well-being. I think all of us know about the work of Fredrickson, which indicates that perhaps the experience of positive emotion creates mental resources, allows you to build resources, broaden your thought pattern, and then you move upward. And it is mentioned that it is a kind of a spiral function. It goes upward. So if you create conditions conducive, which can contribute to the growth of positive emotions, you are going to improve your own state of life. And also, you will engage in efforts to contribute to the well-being of others. You'll be able to produce more. We know that if you are healthy, if you are happy, you do better work. An interesting insight is that happiness leads to success. Not success will lead to happiness. That is not always true. So there are many interesting scientific, data-based, evidence-based learning from the discipline of positive psychology, which provides avenues to furnish conditions, organizing our work life, and enjoying success. There are many interesting ideas like flow, where you are absorbed in activity and you forget yourself. And you are in flow. Similarly, there are many other kinds of interesting interventions where meaning, where love, where happiness are being created. And those interventions can help you in many ways. A very simple thing is gratefulness exercise. You express thanks to others systematically. Do it, practice it, and see what are its consequences. Kritagnata. You appreciate others. See what is the change that takes place in your environment. So, positive psychology and the study of happiness shares certain concrete mechanisms to improve the quality of life. That is one part of the whole thing. Then there is another important component, and I would like to share some of the thoughts about that. That the considerable or increasingly greater involvement with the material culture is not enough. That is not going to solve all the problems. Because if everyone is doing that, then there will be more and more competition. There will be more and more conflict. Then there will be more and more violence. And I think at the level of family, at the level of community, at the level of nation, and also at the global level, we are witnessing this kind of development. Now, if we are going to pump more and more, if you are increasing the size of your ego, so you will see only yourself. You will not appreciate the other. This is a limited perspective. If it is highly self-focused, then the situation will be very damaging. That is happening.
Hello, excuse me, sir.
We have become very selfish and we ignore society, we ignore community, and this kind of self-centeredness is a real problem. I will recommend you to read an interesting book written by Mark Leary, a psychologist from Yale. The title of the book is The Curse of Self. Self जो है वो अभिशाप हो गया. How? You must read that. The alienated, depressed person moves towards disorders. A variety of mental disorders will take place if this self-centeredness is there. If you are not allowing others to grow, I think authentic happiness requires expansion of self. Having a notion of self which relates to others. It provides a space to others to grow. It is highly recommended that we need to understand the meaning of self, which is an expanding self, an inclusive self. There are terms which are used in Indian context where the transcendence is more important. Ego transcendence is more important. And if you read Upanishads, they tell that the notion of limited self is problematic. If you expand the self, and I think the highest expansion is known as Brahman. That is the technical term. And Brahman is one which includes everything. So if you aspire to become Brahman, if you understand that you are Brahman, the change will take place that you will not discriminate. You will relate to others at the same level as you relate to yourself. The term is Atmopamya. That you are treating yourself in one way, you treat the other person the same way. There are conditions when you feel angry, you must understand the others under those conditions will also feel angry. So, how to develop this kind of relationship is the most important challenge if you want authentic happiness. If you want sustainable happiness, then perhaps we need to look towards life, towards family, towards nature. There are some recommendations which have come up from positive psychology researchers. I would like to briefly mention some of them. The first important exercise or activity for people who want authentic happiness is one that you must have something useful and challenging for you so that you are absorbed, you are actively engaged. The second important task is that living in harmonious relationship with friends, with family, with colleagues. This is very crucial. If there is no harmonious relationship, there will be tension, there will be stress, and you will not be able to work. Your productivity will be influenced. Your income will be influenced. Resources will be limited. So this harmony is very crucial. Then it is also important to have intimate relationship with family and friends. Because if there is intimate relationship, then there is someone on which you can rely. You can relate, you can have confidence to relate to some people. You need to find that. The third is that you need to transcend self-interest. You need to transcend self-interest. So if there are 5 people, and if one transcends self-interest, then what is happening? He will take care of the other. The other person will transcend self, will take care of the other. So if there is self-transcend, then there will be possibility of mutual caring and social responsibility. Then there is another important recommendation which has come, that you need to treat others with fairness and justice. There is a lot of work which is coming up which indicates that if you want smooth relationship, if you want equity in society, then you have to appreciate it in your action and reflect that in action. Oh, well, there is one more very important thing which we have been missing on account of our attraction for various kinds of artificial things. So the recommendation is that you must come close to nature. Appreciate the gifts of nature, the beauty that is available. It's in abundance. It provides opportunity to expand yourself. All of us have experienced in the pandemic that oxygen was very, very important. Something which is naturally present. If you cut the trees, if we have only concrete mansions and whatnot, it is going to reduce longevity. It is going to create problem for our society. So it is very crucial that the scope for authentic happiness can be enlarged by our active engagement with society, with people, with nature, and transcending self. With these words, I hope that authentic happiness is difficult but not impossible. It is possible if we have conviction, if we take some kind of sankalpa, if we have strong resolve, we can change ourselves and we can change our environment. I thank Professor Kothari and his colleagues for giving me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts about authentic happiness. Thank you very much. Hello.
हेलो पाठक सर, वो आ गए हैं अपने सिलावट सर।
Sir, just a second.
जी
I would like to apologize for this little hindrance in the middle, but I would like to take this time to introduce our chief patron and chairperson, Dr. Suresh Silawat. Now, as I already said, that he is somebody who honestly does not need an introduction, but I would still take these moments to introduce him anyway. Dr. Silawat, he is the additional director of the Department of Higher Education and has served as, as a principal in various premier institutes such as Government Holkar College and Government Sanskrit College, to name a few. Now, if I were to talk about his career, it would take an entire day. But all I'm going to say is that he is the person who knows and understands higher education inside out. Sir, I would like to invite you to speak a few words.
मैम, 1 मिनट में सर आ रहे हैं।
नमस्कार आप सभी को मेरा, और मैं डॉक्टर सुरेश सिलावट, अतिरिक्त संचालक इंदौर संभाग इंदौर, और न्यू जीडीसी महाविद्यालय की प्राचार्य आदरणीय डॉक्टर मीनाक्षी जोशी और इंटरनेशनल वेबिनार के संयोजक डॉक्टर सरोज कोठारी मैडम एवं प्रशासनिक अधिकारी राजेश पाठक जी तथा आमंत्रित अतिथि वक्ताओं एवं सहभागियों को मेरा नमस्कार। मुझे यह जानकर अत्यंत प्रसन्नता हुई कि महारानी लक्ष्मीबाई कन्या महाविद्यालय इंदौर के मनोविज्ञान द्वारा प्रमाणिक खुशी की तलाश विषय पर 27 से 1 अक्टूबर 2021 तक 5 दिवसीय वेबिनार आयोजित किया जा रहा है, जिसमें अमेरिका, जर्मनी, लंदन एवं भारत से कुल 13 अतिथि वक्ताओं को आमंत्रित किया गया है। मैं इस वेबिनार की सफलता हेतु डॉक्टर सरोज कोठारी को बधाई देता हूं और उनकी टीम को शुभकामनाएं देता हूं, और वहां की प्रिंसिपल मीनाक्षी जोशी मैडम और प्रशासनिक अधिकारी राजेश पाठक जी को बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. हमें बहुत अच्छा लगा कि आपने ज्वाइन किया और इतने अच्छे शब्द कहे हमसे। Thank you so much. We would like to continue with the session, and I would like to call on Dr. Girishwar Mishra to please keep on giving us all the knowledge and wisdom that he has to share. There seems to be an issue. I would request you all to please be a little patient and wait for sir to come back. Thank you. Our sincerest apologies for the delay. There seems to be some issue, but since the show must go on, I would like to call on our next speaker, Dr. N.K. Saxena. He is the former principal and HOD of psychology at PPM PG College from Kanpur. He has taught UG and PG classes for more than 35 years in various capacities. He has been awarded with the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Indian Academy of Health Psychology and also a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Community Psychology Association of India. He is the former sectional president of Indian Science Congress Association and also the former president of Indian Psychology Association, IPA. He has published or presented more than 90 research papers and produced 19 PhDs up until now. He has visited various countries on academic assignments, and his true passion inspires us all. Dr. N.K. Saxena, I would like to invite you. Welcome.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Very clearly, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much. Professor Joshi, principal of the college, Professor Saroj Kothari, and learned Professor Girishwar Mishra, who had just delivered his keynote address on a very important topic. I am grateful to all of you for having given me a chance to share some of my views on authentic psychology of happiness. This concept was given by Martin Seligman, as we all know, and his book is also on authentic happiness. People call him father of positive psychology. I have some reservations because before him also there was positive psychology, particularly in all religious scriptures of all religions. Gita contained positive psychology, Vedanta contained positive psychology, and Professor M.A. Beg, who was professor of psychology at Aligarh Muslim University, he published a paper in 1970, which was in Psychologia, a journal published from Tokyo, Japan. There he tried to prove that Lord Krishna was the first counselor, and the title of his paper was The Concept of Personality in Sri Bhagavad Gita. Now, Professor Akbar Hussain is also doing on this. At the most, I can call Martin Seligman as founder of modern positive psychology, not as father of. People call him father, I call him founder. It may be a controversy, but this is my feeling from core of my heart, because in Bible also there is spirituality. Spirituality is a very important topic of positive psychology. In Sufi philosophy, there is also something about spirituality that is closely related to positive psychology. Now, the point I want to make here, yesterday, 3 wonderful lectures were delivered, one by Professor Rachna Mishraj, the other was from Professor Manju Agarwal, and third was from Professor Batra, from La Batra. All have covered most of the points. And today, in his keynote address, Professor Girishwar Mishra has also covered many points. And for me, little is left to say, but I'll try to share my own views in this respect. Firstly, happiness I divide in 2 parts. Positive happiness and negative happiness. A sadist feels happy by harming others. A cheat feels happy by cheating others. A person feels happy by manipulating appointment of his favorite to some assignment. He feels happy. But this type of happiness I consider as negative happiness. Positive happiness is real happiness and genuine happiness. Authentic, many people call authentic happiness as pleasure, life, present life, meaningful life. And but I think this authentic happiness is a genuine happiness. It is from your inner core. Smile is an index of happiness. We find fake smile also. Air hostess smile is not, say, genuine smile. That is part of our duty to greet everybody with a smile. Now again, gratitude, which is a very important topic of positive psychology. There also we find it is ritualistic gratitude. Children are taught to say thank you to those who help them or offer something. But it may not be from the inner core of heart. So my point is that all the positive psychology variables that we study or that we, they should be genuine and from inner core of one's heart. So this is one point which I like to say. And at the same time, happiness is created or developed. The genuine happiness is created through parenting. I'll talk about it in the later part of my talk. Now here, so this pleasant life, meaningful life and engaged life. Meaningful engagement, that is very important. We all know PERMA model. Positive emotions, engagement, relationship, meaning of life, and achievements. So PERMA model and Paramanand model, they were described at length yesterday. So I need not repeat them. I like to focus more on what has not been covered. But I'll repeat few points only, like the Ikigai model of Japan. Japanese have the longest lifespan, and longevity of life or successful aging or gracious aging, they are related to positivity in one's personality. So Ikigai model, which says, do what you love. That is meaningful engagement, what you love to do. Do what you are good at. Don't attempt those ventures where you have no expertise or you have no. Do what you are good at. Do something world needs, not you need. So what is needed by the world, this should be taken care of. Do something you can do to be paid for, if it is possible, but it should be. This is Trigai model, which I have always appreciated. This model promotes happiness, and this is why happiness is so important for longevity, for successful aging, for gracious aging. One point I like to introduce here, that is happiness index. World Happiness Index, we rank 102 in a list of 156 nations. And we are maintaining our 102nd rank. You know, Finland people are the happiest people. Denmark comes next. Norway is there. So these countries, we find greater happiness. And the parameters on which UN had conducted surveys in these countries finds that, Finland people, Denmark people live in small houses. Their houses are not very big. They live in small houses. Their life is not very luxurious or very expensive life they lead. They lead very simple life, moderate life they lead, but they are the happiest people. So money, people sometimes feel that money is responsible for creating happiness, which is not. Money is not. Of course, as per, for having only minimum basic needs or physiological needs, hunger. So if they are satisfied, but other factors, they generate happiness more than other factors. So this is to be taken into consideration. And India, HDI on Human Development Index, that is done by UNDP, United Nations Development Program, UNDP, we rank 135 in a list of about 175 countries. So in our country, both Happiness Index and Human Development Index, we are quite low. And this is a concern for all of us because, and that is because happy life, positive life, life with positive attitudes is a boon for longevity, successful aging, and happiness. All these things are to be taken into consideration. Now, one thing, happiness is a predictive variable of many positive psychology variables like hope. Now, hope is of two types: dispositional hope and perceived hope. So whether it is a dispositional hope or a perceived hope, three things are to be taken into consideration. What are our goals? What are the pathways for attainment of those goals? And what are the agencies through which we can attain those goals? So goals, pathways, and agencies. These three things are to be taken care of. One more point I like to highlight here is that goals should be set, realistic goals should be set. If goals are unrealistic, even the best pathways and the best agencies may not enable a person to achieve those goals. Here, I'll talk in detail later, but in our country, parents usually set difficult goals for their children. And usually these goals are their own unfulfilled goals. Father wanted to become a doctor, he couldn't become. He may set goal for his son or daughter to achieve that. So maybe he has competence for being an architect. Maybe he has a competence or aptitude for become a good chartered accountant. But the goal which has been set, that is, if it is unattainable or unrealistic, even best pathways and best agencies may not help him. So I have said that happiness is a predictive variable of hope, but with some conditions. In hope, the goals should be attainable. They should be achievable. This should be taken care of. And second thing, optimism. People often ask me, hope and optimism are synonyms. Why do you use differently? I say no. Optimism is only at cognitive level, whereas hope is both at cognitive and affective level. So this is the difference between the two. And optimism, I am reminded of Sir Winston Churchill's comment that a pessimist sees difficulties and opportunities, wherein an optimist sees opportunities and difficulties. एक निराशावादी व्यक्ति जो है वो संभावनाओं में भी उसे कठिनाई दिखाई देती है और एक आशावादी व्यक्ति को कठिनाइयों में भी संभावनाएं दिखाई देती है. So optimism again is a very important positive psychology parameter. Similarly is the case of gratitude. If one expresses gratitude from the quote of so he is giving some happiness to the other to whom he is offering his gratitude. My grandma used to say when I was a child, तुम कुछ ऐसा काम करो जिससे किसी के चेहरे पे हंसी आ जाए, खुशी आ जाए तो समझ लो जिंदगी सफल हो गई. That was it. And the point was prior entry effect. The information that is entered at the earliest level, that becomes more important and that remains throughout life. So prior entry effect is a great concept of social psychology. So I may discuss it at later also, but here I am saying this thing. So is the case with this forgiveness. And happy person is likely to be more forgiver than an unhappy one. One thing which I feel is relevant here is that what is antonym of forgiveness? Revengefulness. A person who is revengeful is often a stressed person having negative personality. Mr. X wants to take revenge on Mr. Y. Y may not be knowing it. X is planning, scheming against Y and always failing to harm him. So, Y with whom he wants to take revenge is not stressed, but the person who wants to take revenge is more stressed. So, the point which I want to raise is that if forgiveness is there, that will be good for developing positivity, creating positivity in one's own self. So these are we are doing some work, some empirical work on this, and we have found happiness is a predictive variable of well-being, psychological well-being, social well-being, emotional well-being, including happiness. And but we don't have prima facie evidence till now that happiness is a predictive variable of resilience also. Because resilience is also a very positive point. If all happiness is there and resilience is not there, resilience is bouncing back. Maybe too much happy person, he accepts his failure and has no intention to bounce back. He may not be resilient. He is happy, he feels happy, he is contented. Usko pura sukh hai. He may not be tempted to bounce back. But resilience is also a very important factor that should be taken care of. And that is why I say, and another very important positive psychology variable is empathy. And empathy in itself contains 3 norms of goodness. These 3 norms of goodness is norm of justice. Nobody wants injustice to be done to him or her. If he is high on empathy, he will not do injustice to others. Similarly, norm of rationality. Everybody wants that with whom he is going to interact, talks to him in a rational manner. And one who is high on empathy will not talk irrationally to the people with whom he meets. And the third norm of goodness is norm of human-heartedness. This is a very good norm. Human-heartedness. A person who is high on empathy will always talk to others with a humane heart, with courtesy behavior. And those who are not in position of positive personality traits, including happiness, because they are all predictors of each other. They are all predictor variables of each other. So this is to be taken into consideration. And people who are high on empathy are high on helping behavior also. They are more altruist. Now, if we consider individualistic attitude versus altruistic attitude, altruism, those who are individualistic, only thinking of themselves, their family, I and me, me and my family, if they are only this, they are seldom in position of positive psychology traits as compared to those who are altruists, who are high on helping behavior. Whatever I am saying, they are based on some of my own studies or robust findings of some studies conducted elsewhere. Now, one of the factors in our country for being unhappy is discriminatory behavior. Discrimination is opposed to social harmony. Discrimination on basis of religion and caste. Discrimination is very much rampant in our society. sometimes I, in a sense of humor, say that we are taught from the beginning that our one hand is bad, the other is good. One is pious, the other is not pious. Don't accept prasad or money from your left hand. I found during my student days, whenever I went to get my bike prepared in some garage, I found Muslim children, they were, they used both their hands very effectively. The point which I am going to say, discrimination is part of our society, where discrimination is not part of our religious books. And in our religious scriptures, we have been learning that we believe in karma pradanta, we believe in doctrine of karma. But actually, we had been for centuries believing in doctrine of janma. Birth was given more importance than the karma. So this is, I think, a person who's discriminated, how can he be happy? A person who's marginalized, how can he be happy? Teeming millions of our countrymen are still underhoused, underfed, and underclothed. How can they feel happy? So for happiness, I think social harmony is one factor which should be encouraged at all levels. And how it is developed, I'll tell when I'll discuss Kessel model, because many models have been discussed, Parma model and other models, but I'll focus on Kessel model through SFPs at the end of my discourse. I think I have ample time because Professor Mishra and others have taken less time. So I am privileged to have some more time. So I may take it and I may try to finish by covering most of the points which have not been covered so far, particularly Kessel model. So there we find large gap which is between what is written in our scriptures and what we follow. I was astonished to find few years back in Sangam Mela, we are taught in our religious books not to have ego. ज़्यादा घमंड नहीं होना चाहिए, ego नहीं होना चाहिए. But few years back, शाही स्नान के ऊपर कौन से साधु पहले नहाएंगे, कौन से बाद में नहाएंगे, तलवारें चल गई और 2-4 पुलिस वाले खट गए. So what I have been watching right from my early childhood, say in 1940 when I was 5 years old, I visited my grandma's Dadi's village and I found the discrimination that was there. And we say something, we do something else. So this gap should be minimized. What we say and what has been said in our religious scriptures. हमारे शास्त्रों में ये भी लिखा है, हम सबके सुख की कामना करते हैं और वसुधैव कुटुंबकम की बात करते हैं. सबके सुख की कामना हम कैसे करते थे, ये तो हमारी थिंकिंग है, हमारी कॉग्निशन है. हमारे कॉग्निशन में क्या था कि हम दलित महिलाओं को गांव से 5 किलोमीटर दूर कुएं से पानी भरवाते थे, क्योंकि हमारे गांव के कुएं में पानी भरने का उनका अधिकार नहीं था। इससे हम उनका कल्याण करते थे, ये हम उनके कल्याण करते थे। हम उनको मंदिरों में प्रवेश ना दे के उनका कल्याण करते थे। So whatever we have been, whatever has been written in our scriptures, our religious scriptures, we have been doing far away from that. So this gap must be, whatever we say, the same thing we should do. And that is why these few of my observations led me to develop a model or attitudinal behavioral aid. Our attitudes and behavior, there is a lot of gap. Whatever in our cognition and what is in our cognition. So these are some of the points which I, and one more thing. This point I have already said. Now I am coming right to Castle model. Before discussing this Castle model, I'll just give some introduction. My hunch is, as I already pointed out to you all, that prior entry effect, the information that is entered in our cognition at the early age, is more important. And many negative personality traits are developed during parenting. ये मत करो, ऐसा हो जाएगा. Fear is induced. यहाँ तक कि बच्चा थोड़ा बड़ा हुआ, पापा आते होंगे, अब किताब लेके बैठ जाओ, बहुत खेल लिए. क्या मैसेज दे रही है माता श्री? हमें कोई आपत्ति नहीं, तुम पढ़ो या ना पढ़ो, तो तुम्हारा पापा आ रहा है इसलिए तुम पढ़ो. तो creating a fear for father. Many mothers do it, and whatever some unobtrusive measures are very important for making some generalizations. So I am generalizing this on the basis of some unobtrusive measures, and unobtrusive measures are also important methods of psychological or behavioral sciences inquiry, sociology, anthropology. Sociology and anthropology particularly, and social psychology also, unobtrusive measures are given importance. So these unobtrusive measures, on the basis of these unobtrusive measures, I have drawn certain generalizations. So creating fear. And this is why mothers too. And 3 types of mothers are very dangerous for children. They create negativity in them. First, over-expecting mothers. Just by the way, after my retirement in 1996, more than 25 years back, I joined some education institutions, children, and as director. And in order to verify the hunches that I had developed during my service period. The hunches that I had developed during my service period, I tried to verify them empirically by remaining in contact with the children. Because as you have told, I produced 19 PhDs, out of which 5 were only on parenting. Because I had observed some cases, and on the basis of I found that parenting is very important variable, and positive parenting particularly. So over-expecting parents, if there is a in a class of 40 children or 20, 25 children in a class, and every mother wants her child to get first position. One or two may be bracketed first position holders, but not all. और माता श्री सवेरे से शाम तक बेटे से कह रही हैं कि देखो पड़ोस में जो बच्चा है वो अपने क्लास में फर्स्ट आया, तुम्हें भी फर्स्ट आना है, और उसके हर अचीवमेंट के लिए कुछ प्रीरिक्विजिट क्वालिफिकेशन होती है. ही इज नॉट केपेबल ऑफ गेटिंग फर्स्ट पोजीशन, ही इज गेटिंग 9th, 10th, 12th, 14th position is not bad, but he indulges in some sort of mental matching process. He tries to compare his mom's desire of getting first and he's getting 9th or 10th. The greater the gap, the greater maternal rejection he may perceive. सोच सकता है कि हम माता श्री के हिसाब से हमारी फर्स्ट पोजीशन नहीं आ रही है, हम 12th आ रहे हैं या 14th आ रहे हैं, तो माता श्री हमें प्यार नहीं करती होंगी. दिस एप्रीहेंशन ही में उसकी पर्सनैलिटी में, उसके साइके में ये जाता है. ही इज नॉट कमिंग टू द एक्सपेक्टेशंस ऑफ हिज मदर, so he may go into some sort of depression, some type of negativity. So I have been, while conducting parental counseling has been my very great hobby. I have been doing it. I say never over expect as per his mental capital, as per his potentialities. Second is never overprotect. Never overprotect. Children who are overprotected, even they are very good at studies, even they become, I have seen many administrators become dependent even upon their driver and PAs and everything, because they lack decision making and problem solving skill, because all the problems were solved by the parents. All the decisions were taken by the parents. So, over-expecting parents are poor source of a child's mental health, and they are responsible for inducing negativity in his personality. And lastly, anger. That is has been the turning point of many of my researches. I had a distant relative of mine whose elder son was studying, failed in class 9 2 or 3 times, and he became a, what should I say, a delinquent type person. He was jailed once. His father, being my distant relative, came to me and told him about him. I was teaching, it is a case of 1958. I had just started teaching in Kanpur. So he told me, "Beta, तुम तो साइकोलॉजी पढ़ाते हो, उसकी साइकोलॉजी देखो क्यों उसने ऐसा किया." So when I interviewed him, and after depth interview, it came to my notice that when he was studying class 4th, his younger son was 2 years younger brother was studying in class 3, and the elder one got 7th, 8th, 10th position in the class. Younger one always stood first. So whenever family friends visited their house, they asked their younger son, "Beta, show your card to auntie. Show your medal that we got." That was a fluent family, educated family. They were not directly rejecting the elder one, but in his presence, they were promoting and projecting the younger one. So the elder one felt parental rejection. He perceived parental rejection. And when he perceived parental rejection, he told me that he called me Bhai Sahab. Bhai Sahab, जब हमारे घर में फैमिली फ्रेंड्स अंकल आंटी आने लगे तो मैं पिछले गेट से निकल गया था, because he could not withstand that comparison that her mother was doing by comparing him, not comparing, but projecting. He felt comparison by, projecting the younger one. So he felt rejected. Then I developed a hunch, probably the victims of the same source, they come closer to each other. अगर एक टीचर एक दिन एक क्लास में दो बच्चों को बाहर करते, दोनों पहले दोस्त ना भी हो तो पक्के दोस्त हो जाते हैं. If a DIG police sends two, inspectors to police line, they may not be friendly before, but they become friendly, बहुत friendly हो जाते हैं. And families, it has been observed, I am saying this in a humorous way, sometimes father-in-law and daughter-in-law start sympathizing with each other because they perceive to be victim of the same source. So if they perceive to be victim of the same source, they start sympathizing with each other. This is my hunch, but this is a fact also. The victims of the same source develop affinity. So the third point which I tell the parents, not to indulge in sibling comparison. So never over-expect, never over-expect, don't over-protect, and never indulge in sibling comparison. And that is why I say positive parenting is something else. And what is CASEL? Full form of CASEL is collaborative, academic, social, emotional learning. Collaborative, academic. Today, not only in India, but in world over, most of the parents are concerned only with the academic attainment of their children. They want them to get 99%, 98%, even 100%. Their focus is on academic attainment, but they ignore social emotional learning. Social emotional learning is very important. Social emotional learning, most of the positive psychology variables are covered within social emotional learning. This is fact. So, but they should also be made strugglers, resilient. Some stress tolerance they should be taught. Some deprivation tolerance they should be taught. Some frustration tolerance also they should be taught by, some methods are there. So, because if in real life, everything positive will not come in their life. So they have to be a struggler also. They have to be stress tolerant also. They have to be, deprivation tolerant also. So these things come under the category of positive parenting. So my another point is positive schooling should also be there. So CASEL via SFPs, school family partnerships. School family partnerships can create meaningfully and successfully the social emotional learning also among the children. Noddings, who did wonderful work in the area of happiness among children, he remarked, happy people are rarely cunning. Happy people are rarely cliquish. Happy people are rarely scheming. Happy people are rarely vindictive or revengeful, because happiness, a happy person, because a person who is angry or aggressive, that is because of some negative traits in his personality. Long back, 1967, one of my MA students conducted a study on bullying behavior. He found that the children who were frequently beaten by their mothers, they exhibited bullying behavior more than whose mothers were less punitive. Now, punitiveness caused frustration among a child or among children. If punitive parenting is there, then he feels frustrated. And an age-old theory, frustration causes aggression or displacement. So, the children could not react or show aggression towards the parent. So that was displaced, hostility was displaced onto some other object. Maybe sometimes a person is frustrated, he may hit the glass तोड़ सकता है, inanimate object पे भी उसका aggression आ सकता है. So वो तो उसने उसको दूसरे लड़के को छेड़ा, उसको मारा, पीटा, bullying की. So even bullying behavior was attributed to negative parenting. Punitive parenting was caused by that. So this is some of. So Castle model through via school family partnerships is very important in this connection. And lastly, I like to say one point. That if for creating positive traits, there are two models: clinic model and growth model. I've been talking about growth model. How can it be created? Through positive parenting, positive schooling, through school family partnerships. But those who are, negative, their negativity can also be changed into positivity by through counseling, meditation, and other psychological interventions that can be changed, and that can be reduced. Negativity can be reduced. And the point, when we talk of positivity or positive variables or happiness, we should take into consideration our elder population also. Geriatric counseling. For that, many elder people feel stressed, because they feel that whatever, I'm citing just one example. One of my friends who studied with me up to class 12, then became block development officer, retired. In 9, 10 and 12, he could find out my phone number. We were thrilled, and I went to his place, his village in Dhampur, district Bijnor. M.K.S. Chauhan was his name. Those are examination days. His grandson was appearing in class 10th. We were sitting together. He said, "Dadu, hi Dadu." चला गया। बड़े नाराज हुए, दो आजकल के बच्चे ऐसे हैं, हाय दादू कह दिया इसने। अरे हम लोग इम्तिहान देने जाते थे, सबके बड़ों के पैर छू के जाते थे। हमने कहा भाई ठाकुर साहब ये बताओ, तब से कितना पानी गंगा जमुना में उस समय बह चुका है, और तब क्या ये मीडिया था? आप क्या टीवी देखते थे? हाय दादू उसने कहीं सीखा होगा। तो मैंने उनको इंस्टेंस बताया कि 3-4 साल पहले मैं भोपाल में था, मेरा एक भाई छोटा था, तो उसके वो हनुमान जी का बड़ा भक्त था, ट्यूसडे का दिन था, वो मंदिर ले गया। वहाँ पे एक लग्जरी गाड़ी में बहुत बच्चे आए और हाथ मिला कर हाय हनु करके चले गए। माय ब्रदर केम वेरी एनवाइड, देखो हाथ भी नहीं जोड़, हाय तो देखो इस पे टॉलरेट करो, ये एक्सपेक्ट करो, वो बदतमीजी नहीं कर रहा है। हिज स्टाइल ऑफ पेइंग रिस्पेक्ट, बिकॉज ही हैज लर्न्ड दैट स्टाइल। और बहुत से एल्डरली पीपल जो अपने जमाने में जीते हैं, जो अपने को चेंज नहीं करते हैं, जनरेशन गैप को परसीव नहीं करते हैं, कि एजिंग सक्सेसफुल नहीं होती है, तो उनको भी हैप्पीनेस। और उनके लिए मैं 3 बातें कहता हूँ खास तौर पे एल्डरली पीपल। अवॉइड 3 डिजीज: dementia, death anxiety and dying syndrome. 3 डी को अवॉइड करो and have inculcate 3 positive D's in your personality: dance, dignity and dialogue. By dance I mean dance is an index of happiness. You feel happy, and even if you dance, no problem. Dignity, maintain your self-esteem high. And dialogue, because isolation or loneliness is a greater, very great evil, which creates negativity among elder population. ये बहुत दिखा गया. So there should be continued dialogue. That dialogue, because loneliness is a silent jail. Without cellmates, parole or bail. लोनलीनेस जो है एक साइलेंट जेल है, जहाँ पे सेलमेट्स भी नहीं है, कैदी नहीं है, साथी कैदी नहीं, और पैरोल का भी कोई चांस नहीं है, और बेल यानी जमानत का भी कोई चांस नहीं है लोनलीनेस में। तो कंटिन्यू विद डायलॉग। और कानपुर में हम देख रहे हैं, हमारे यहाँ की पीपीएन कॉलेज से एक टीचर हैं, उन्होंने अपने घर में एल्डरली के लिए लॉफिंग क्लब बनाया हुआ है। उनको हफ्ते में एक बार बुलाती हैं, डॉक्टर आभा सिंह का नाम है, और वो उनको मतलब इनकरेज करती हैं कि वो हैप्पी फील करें। लेकिन हैप्पीनेस, लाफ्टर हैप्पीनेस में थोड़ा सा अंतर मानता हूँ। लाफ्टर मे बी टेम्परेरी हैप्पीनेस, like PANAS जो पॉजिटिव इफेक्ट, नेगेटिव इफेक्ट स्केल जो डेविड वाटसन ने डिस्कस किया है, वो कहता है कि 24 घंटे में आपकी 20 आइटम्स हैं, उनमें 10 मिनट टिक करो, 24 घंटे में तुम्हें क्या क्या ये फीलिंग हुई, 10 पॉजिटिव 10 नेगेटिव लिख दिए, तो वो परमानेंट नहीं है। तो इसीलिए जो जिसको कहते हैं ऑथेंटिक हैप्पीनेस है ये सस्टेनेबल हैप्पीनेस होनी चाहिए, जेन्युइन एंड सस्टेनेबल, दो चीजें हैं, राइट फ्रॉम चाइल्डहुड। क्यों? और एक और चीज, मेरा ये ऑब्जर्वेशन है और ये सही भी है कि अप्रूवल इज एवरीबॉडीज नीड, इवन न्यूनेट स्माइल्स बट दैट स्माइल इज रिफ्लेक्सिव स्माइल, लेकिन जब वो 3 महीने का हो जाता है तो वो सोशल स्माइल देने लगता है और ही अंडरस्टैंड्स द पॉजिटिव बॉडी लैंग्वेज और द नेगेटिव बॉडी लैंग्वेज ऑफ द केयर गिवर और द मदर। तो ये चीज थोड़ा देखने की बात है कि अप्रूवल, एवरीबॉडी इज हाई ऑन अप्रूवल मोटिव। तो अगर एल्डरली को भी हम अप्रूवल मोटिव दें, अप्रूव करें, तो ये उनकी सक्सेसफुल लाइफ के लिए बहुत अच्छा होगा। और एल्डरली को भी चाहिए कि वो दे रिमेन एंगेज्ड। जो जापानीज मॉडल है और जो जापानीज ऐसी बात करते हैं, मतलब उनकी लॉन्गिविटी बहुत ज़्यादा है। और फाइनली एक बात मैं कहूँगा कि ये सारी चीज़ें जो वो हमारे साइकोलॉजिकल इम्यून सिस्टम को बढ़ाती हैं। पॉजिटिविटी इनहेंसेस वन साइकोलॉजिकल इम्यून सिस्टम। किसी भी एलिमेंट को फेस करने के लिए या तो हमारे पास BIS होता है, बायोलॉजिकल इम्यून सिस्टम, विच इज मोस्टली genetically determined or can be enhanced through yoga, exercises, meditation. Biological immune system है और psychological immune system, ये हमारे positive personality traits हैं, ये हमारे psychological immune system को वर्क करते हैं। और ओला ने एक टूल डेवलप किया, हम लोग उसको कानपुर में भी करा रहे हैं इस काम को। और वो ये है जो साइकोलॉजिकल इम्यून सिस्टम है व्यक्ति का, जिसमें उसकी पॉजिटिविटी होती है, उसने साइकोलॉजिकल इम्यून सिस्टम इन्वेंटरी डेवलप की है, PISI ओला ने। उसमें 80 आइटम्स हैं, 3 सब स्केल्स हैं, 3 सब सिस्टम्स हैं उसके, और 16 सब स्केल्स हैं। इसके ऊपर प्रोफेसर अनुभूति दुबे गोरखपुर यूनिवर्सिटी के हैं, उन्होंने बहुत अच्छा काम किया है। और डॉक्टर्स के इम्यून सिस्टम के ऊपर उनका एक पब्लिश रिसर्च पेपर है जो बहुत ही अप्रिशिएटेड है। हमारे कानपुर में डॉक्टर रश्मि मिश्रा वो कॉलेज टीचर्स की साइकोलॉजिकल इम्यून सिस्टम का अध्ययन कर रही हैं। डॉक्टर आराधना शुक्ला भी वो मेडिकल कॉलेज में एसोसिएट प्रोफेसर है क्लिनिकल साइकोलॉजी की, वो भी एक ग्रुप को एज के वेरिएबल लेकर के साइकोलॉजी इम्यून सिस्टम का अध्ययन कर रहे हैं। तो जिनका साइकोलॉजिकल इम्यून सिस्टम हाई है उसको कोरिलेट किया गया, वो पॉजिटिव साइकोलॉजिकल ट्रेट से हाईली कोरिलेट करते हैं। और मेरा ये मानना है कि ये जो हैप्पीनेस, पॉजिटिव हैप्पीनेस और दूसरे पॉजिटिव साइकोलॉजिकल ट्रेट्स हैं, ये ना केवल predictive, happiness is not only predictive variable of hope, optimism, gratitude, forgiveness, subjective well-being, but it is also अभी findings अभी थोड़ी अभी काम चल रहा है कानपुर में। It is my hunch that we may find happiness as a predictor variable of psychological immune system also. तो जो हैप्पी पीपल हैं उनका जो रिजिलेंट है, फॉरगिवनेस है, जिनमें पॉजिटिव ट्रेट्स हैं, उनका साइकोलॉजिकल इम्यून सिस्टम ज़्यादा स्ट्रांग होता है। थोड़ा प्राइमरी फेसी काम हम लोगों ने अभी किया था कानपुर में, उसका भी जिक्र कर दें। तो फर्स्ट वेव जब हुई थी तो बहुत बातें ये हुई थी कि जो एजेड हैं, जो किसी बीमारी से ग्रस्त हैं, वो ज़्यादा विक्टिम हो रहे हैं इसके, वो सरवाइव नहीं कर पा रहे हैं। तो हम लोगों ने करीब 1 दर्जन ऐसे लोग जो 70 प्लस थे, और 2 केस तो 85, 88 और 89 के 3 केसेस मिले थे, उनके ऊपर PISI एडमिनिस्टर किया। All of them were found to be high on PISI. PISI में वो हाई पाए गए। तो इससे हम ये रिजल्ट निकाल सकते हैं, इसके इम्प्लीकेशन ये है कि अगर हैप्पीनेस और दूसरे पॉजिटिव ट्रेट्स हैं, तो one can face not only struggles of life in a better manner and more effective manner, but he can also face any disease, any challenge in a very effective manner, and thereby he can also age successfully with greater longevity like Japanese and happy people like Helsinki people. Helsinki, capital of Finland. The happiest people in the world are found in Helsinki city. So Helsinki. So we should strive for that. We should have our goal, and psychologists can play a very leading role in this direction. And they can play a leading role. And I find that Professor Madhurima Pradhan of Ratna University, she has developed a lab for happiness, creating happiness, a lab, and a center for study of positive psychology. So if these things are encouraged at all levels, in all the universities, and we can serve the society also, we can serve the community. So not only because psychologists know about Professor Girisha Mishra had raised a very valid point, and I have seen that if in department perfect harmony is there, then department can be very productive, research and everything. And if infighting is there, if jealousies are there, unhealthy competition is there, that leads to the downfall of the department. So these things, this point, Professor Mishra has a very, very point, and I salute him for that. This is a very true point. So, friends, I think I have taken more time, and because I tried to utilize this time because my predecessors had taken some little time and left some time for me. So I had utilized their time. And I thank you very much, everybody, those who have given me patient listening, and those, and particularly Professor Saroj Kothari, who organized such a wonderful virtual conference. Yesterday's speakers spoke wonderfully well. Professor Girisha Mishra is known for his talent and his and I have also tried to make some little effort from my side to thank you so much.
Sure, it has been wonderful listening to you, and every single time you've talked about a hunch and taken us through an experience of your childhood and mingled it with psychology has been such an experience. And we are the ones who should thank you, and we really do. Thank you so much. It has been so much fun. And I said that you're passionate before, but I couldn't have been more right. I'm going to reiterate it. Your passion has shown through, and the fact that you were so excited to speak, it got us really excited too. So, thank you so much. And we hope to listen to you and hear you a lot more than this. Thank you, truly. Before Sir leaves, would you all like to ask him something And if yes, please type it in the chat box. And if we'll wait for a few minutes, if there are any questions, we'll continue. If not, then we can conclude. So people have a lot of nice things to say, but no questions apparently. Looks like you've just given this holistic perspective of towards authentic happiness. We're one step there only, I feel. Since there are no questions, I would like to take this opportunity and conclude today's session. It has been fabulous. I couldn't put it into words anymore. And thank you so much, each and everyone, for joining. And I hope that you're all excited for tomorrow's session as well, because we have Dr. Puranik, a neurologist, and Dr. Mahendra Sharma, sir, a clinical psychology expert from NIMHANS, coming in. So thank you so much for being a part of this journey, and we will all see you tomorrow.
मैम क्लोज कर दूं? रुशीना मैम बंद कर दूं? हेलो रुशीना मैम, आवाज नहीं आ पा रही है आपकी?
हेलो,
हाँ रुशीना मैम, लाइव क्लोज कर दूं, बंद कर दूं?
sir, एक minute. If there are any speakers who would like to talk about something, then they're most welcome. Please do let us know in the chat box. Seems like there is nobody, then I think we can leave. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Thank you, sir.